game away from the crowd. Welcome back to the 2015 World Championship Series. This is the Premier League. Yesterday we completed Group E and we now have 10 players that will represent their regions in Toronto, Canada. Today though, we're going to be moving through to Group F, where by the end of it, we're going to have 12 players, which will be moving and having the plane tickets over to Canada to play at the season finals. Before we start talking about the tournament, I've got a couple of people to introduce to you. As always, directly to my left is again the top 16 season finalist, Pig from Australia, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks for having me, Sean. Pleasure to be here to watch some awesome ZVT tonight.
Yeah, no Protoss sadly today, and of course, further down the line we have Kevin van der Kooi, Rotterdam. He's a massive fan favourite.
So much love in the audience, Sean. I'm blushing already.
I think we're going to have to keep you in the European shows instead of the North American ones now.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't complain. With an audience like this, Sean, nobody would complain.
It's a lot of fun yesterday, and I'm sure we're going to have a lot of fun today as well. All right, now let's get down to the nitty-gritty of the World Championship Series. Let's have a look at the round of 32. As mentioned, we already have 10 players that will represent their region going forward to the season finals. 10 plane tickets awarded, Rotterdam, out of the group so far.
And it's so international. Look at how many nations will be represented. And today, one more nation will be represented as well in Canada. As of course, Poland could make it, and we already have a few Koreans, but we don't have a Polish player yet. We don't have a German yet. We don't have a Mexican player yet. I think this is a very cool international players field, and obviously, I'm very happy to see the two Dutchies.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great list of players, and we'll be completing the round of 32 over the next 3 days as well. So lots of fun still to come over the weekend here at the World Championship Series in the ESL studios. Now let's take a look at the Premier League structure. This is something we looked at yesterday, and for some of you that aren't quite as familiar with how the Premier League works, we can take a closer look once again. As you can see on the left-hand side, with a mix of the American and German flag, we are in currently the round of 32. We have Group F ready to play today. The players are here, the players are keen. We will complete this over the next couple of days before moving to Toronto in Canada come June the 26th and June the 28th. Lining up to be one of the biggest events we've seen in StarCraft in a long time, Pig.
Absolutely, it's just going to be an absolutely massive season, and Toronto, the Canadian crowd, standalone StarCraft II event, it's something as a player, it makes such a big difference to get over to an event where you can be in front of a live audience, and it's going to be absolutely massive. I know every single one of these players wants to make it there.
Yeah, and I know the ticket sales are going very well for that. They sold out very fast in the first week, pretty much, and a second batch had to come out for those guys, the Canadians, and everyone traveling to the event. Now let's take a look at the prize money, because we have the Premier League prize money set up. A lot of these players have already made $4,500, which is the minimum you can make when you enter the Premier League, a very comfortable amount of money there, and it increases the further that they go up in the ranking. Of course, a whopping $30,000 for first place, the same as Rotterdam's fee to be here today.
Almost, Sean, almost. That cast of money, it's out of control. You know all about it.
And of course, not only is there a lot of money on the line in WCS points, we have the road to the global finals, which is taking place. I see you're smiling in the corner there, Roddy. It's been taking place throughout season 1, 2, and 3 as we march closer and closer towards that. We can look at the ranking and see where some of our players here that are playing today match up against the best in the world. Life still #1 and will be over the next few days. But look, we have Polt, who's pretty comfortable in the ranking right now and is already looking at a global finals position.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's been making it to BlizzCon pretty much every single year because he always performs so well in WCS. But I'm kind of surprised to see him only, I say quote unquote only, on 2,400 points. Because imagine if he wouldn't have won season 1, then this hasn't really been a phenomenal year yet for Polt. Of course, because of a great victory in season 1, it has been. But he needs to do well here again because it's not like he's extremely comfortable.
Absolutely. Those points are just so important. And I think this year, the competition started earlier than ever. Last year, I think, was the first year where it was such a central focus for all of the players trying to accumulate those BlizzCon points. We saw it kind of in the lead up to BlizzCon last year, kind of accumulate in this crazy tournaments where any tournament giving out BlizzCon points was just an absolute competitive fest of players getting in there and trying to get them. This year, everyone's trying to get them a lot earlier. And for a player like TLO, you know, rank number 40 is quite far from number 16. But if he can get a really good finish this season, then he is back in the running for that BlizzCon spot.
Yeah, 2,000 points to the winner, and, you know, he gets that, he shoots right into the top 16. Obviously a long shot, but as many points as he can gain throughout the season is going to assist on that road to the global finals. All right, moving on. Let's take a closer look at the group that's going to be playing out today. We have 4 fantastic representatives from different parts of the world competing, and one name that stands out above the rest, of course, Roddy, is the season. Not just you. I know you stand out a lot, Roddy, but one other guy is the Season 1 champion. Polt is here in Cologne, Germany, is looking to defend his title and will be playing tonight.
Absolutely, of course, Polt comes into this group as an overwhelming favorite, but one other player that really stands out is Elazer. I mean, like, if you talk about players that we haven't really seen a whole lot of yet, he's definitely one guy that if you look at it, like if you haven't followed Challenger, for instance, and you're like, Elazer? Like, I was even talking with a few of the fans here, they're like, who is Elazer? Like, how good is he? Like, what is his rank in GM? Like, well, very high if he really wants to, you know? So I think that's very fun to see a new face like that go up against the big boys.
Yeah.
He's a player that has been obviously around in the European scene for a while, and all the European pros will know him. But yes, today unfortunately there is no Protoss, but Sunday is the Protoss day, no worries. But it's very fun to see someone like that finally get a shot at a big stage like this. And, you know, maybe he can be the fairy tales of this season.
And then one name also in this group, which I don't really have to say without anyone in here going crazy, is, of course, TLO is playing today. One of 2 German representatives in the round of 32, of course, being in here in Germany. It's a big night for TLO playing in front of a home audience like this.
Definitely, and it's a tough group, but I think it's also a doable group. It's definitely, you know, the dream is very alive for Dario to advance, and I've recently read on the internet that this is the century of TLO, so it's possible.
All right, before we move on to the next segment, we are going to play you a little video to kind of highlight these 4 players within Group F.
Group F. The 3-time champion and returning title holder begins his run towards a potential unheard-of 4th WCS championship. Joining him are 2 established and well-known names in MajOr and TLO. Both players remarkably have played in every WCS Premier League so far, a feat that only 2 others have achieved in all of WCS history. Elazer, with his victory over Showtime, not only stunned the German, but sent a message to all players this season that he cannot be overlooked. You must respect him. Polt, no doubt, is the clear favorite, not just for this group, but for the entire tournament. The other 3 players need to absolutely deliver today in order to advance.
Thank you very much, Clutch, for that video. It's, you know, there's a lot of truth in that video there. Polt, currently the only player to achieve 3 WCS titles to a name, a massive feat. He's looking for a 4th, he's looking for a 5th. And at the same time, I think what really stood out for me in there as well, that we have 3 players in tonight's group that have played in every single Premier League ever in the history of WCS. That's a massive feat.
It's absolutely huge to be that consistent. And players like MajOr and TLO have been able to just bring those consistent performances season after season. And I think what both of those players are looking to do today is to break out of what's expected of them. Making it to Premier League is what's expected. They want to go further. They want to make one of those deep runs. MajOr, for instance, you know, he's made it to the round of 16 twice, but often does get eliminated in that round of 32. He wants to make it further. These players want to go far today.
Yeah, and Elazer, just the outsider of the group, Rotterdam. There's no other way to look at it as a massive dark horse.
No, absolutely. I mean, even going into Challenger, he was going up against one of the hottest players of Season 1, the German Protoss was showtime. We looked at it, and like with TvZ in its current state, almost nobody thought that Elazer was going to take it. Of course, a few diehard Elazer fans, or friends of his were like, yeah, Elazer's totally got that. But I think that was more wishful dreaming, or wishful thinking, and it was actually going to happen. But he just played really solid in that series. It wasn't an undeserved victory at all. Showtime didn't look at his best, but Elazer showed like, hey, if you're going to make mistakes, I will be able to capitalize on those mistakes. And he's going to have to bring that performance, but even better, to the show today if he wants to advance.
Yeah, I mean, it's his debut WCS tournament. He took out a top 4 finisher of last season, and he makes it here today to play officially in the Premier League. It's a big moment for the Polish player. But now let's take a look at the matches that we're going to be seeing. We've talked a little bit about the group, but we have 2 matchups that are going to be happening within the next hour or so. We will talk about the second matchup a little bit later on, of course. I'm sure you've got, of course, Pig, a lot to say. But the first match of the day is going to be Mexico versus Poland, MajOr versus Elazer. Elazer, sorry.
Elazer, of course. This is a really interesting matchup, and it's something which earlier, of course, today and in the last week, we've been researching these players, and we've realized Elazer, MajOr, these are 2 players from very different parts of the world. They've only ever played once before. MajOr did take out that set, but it's not a lot to go off. It's something where both these players don't run into each other on a regular basis, and it's going to be very interesting to see the styles they bring. For Elazer, this is a completely different level of competition, and I'm sure he's going to have prepared specific builds, specific styles. And MajOr, on the other hand, is probably the favorite going into this match, but he's still going to have to play very well.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about MajOr, Roddy, because MajOr's had an interesting career. He's played since day 1 of StarCraft II. He even played StarCraft 1 before that, Brood War. But in StarCraft 2, he's been to a couple of tournaments, not that many. Some tournaments he's gone in and looked like he's going to do very, very well. And then there's others, he's traveled over, especially to Europe last season, where he dropped out pretty fast.
MajOr is not the type of player that's going to travel around the world to every single tournament to just like play in a tournament that's extremely stacked with a lot of Koreans to be eliminated in the round of 16 or maybe in the round of 8. Like, he considered that a waste of time. But if he goes to tournaments, and in general he does pretty well. He has collected quite a bit of prize money over the years. And if you ask any North American player, who is the best North American Terran? Well, over the last 4 years, there's been very little argued that it has always been MajOr. Of course, we've got a few more. Masa, for instance, who's going to be playing here as well, but he's been very steady, he's been very stable in the North American scene, but he's never been that player that plays in every single tournament, that plays in every online cup or travels all around the world. That's just not his style, but obviously for WCS, he will come out.
Makes him a bit of a mystery, and it'll be good to see how he plays tonight. Pig, we've got the map vetoes up on screen. What have you seen by looking at
A couple of interesting vetoes. First of all, MajOr has actually vetoed Inferno pools. So that's obviously, it's normally more a Terran-favored map in some spawns, but there's a little bit of variance, a little bit of randomness about it. That tells me that MajOr's wanting to make sure the map is something he expects going into it. He wants to eliminate chance. He feels he's probably a little bit stronger here. He wants that solid chance to go forward. As for the actual map order, we are going to be kicking off with Expedition Lost, which was Elazer's pick, a very strong ZVT map, very weak for Reapers, very easy for Zerg to set up. We'll be going on to Coda, which is MajOr's pick. Like we were saying, he's looking for that standard game. He's chosen a very generic map there, slightly Terran favored, I believe, in the WCS statistics this season. And the final map will be Echo, which is also a relatively balanced map in the Zerg vs Terran matchup. So I think a very even maps here, and nothing really very surprising in the maps they've chosen.
All right, thank you very much, Pig, there. Roddy, what do you think about this series then? I mean, quick summary before we look at the first map here. Is it really MajOr dominated and favored? What is Elazer got to do?
I'm not sure, but I definitely think it's very important he wins map number 1. Now, that goes for most best of 3s, but looking at this map 1 being Expedition Lost, that is a map that a lot of Terrans are not too fond of. I was just checking actually upstairs, Paul was lathering. I was like, hey Paul, show me your map vetoes, and he had 1 veto, and that was Expedition Lost. So, like, a lot of Terrans don't like it that much, so going into a series like this, you know that map number 1, that is the map that's probably favoring your race the most. He really has to win that one, and that would just be a great victory, because let's not forget, we're just standing here as fans, we're watching the games, it is all very relaxed, but he is probably freaking himself out a little bit right now. This is the biggest game he has ever played on the stage. He's been to 1 DreamHack in his career, but that was a year ago, and he was nowhere near as good as he is right now. Yeah. This is a tough group, but he probably looks at this like, well, if everything goes my way, I could even make it out. I could even go to Toronto as well. So he's going to be very nervous, and it's going to be very important for him to just be calm and collected and win map number 1.
All right, well, let's take a closer look at map number 1 then. Pig, maybe you can talk us through this a little bit. So Expedition Lost, it's had its wacky games over the last couple of months. Talk to us a little bit about this, especially from a Elazer's perspective, being a Zerg professional yourself.
I think, as I was saying before, Expedition Lost is a very, a slightly Zerg-favored map in that Reapers aren't quite as powerful. The statistics so far haven't actually reflected that in WCS. We do see a 2-to-1 win rate, but that's a very small sample size. Something which we might want to look out for here is maybe Elazer's going to bring some special tactics. We have seen some proxy hatchery builds behind the back rocks, below the main base, even against the Terran matchup. Yeah. We've seen some famous games in the Korean scene with that sort of style, so maybe he brings something like that out, but even a standard game plan, it's very good. Once you get to the mid-game, defending, if you can get your creep spread out there, it's a very wide open areas. It's not too hard to defend drops. I think it's a solid map, and he can just play both styles.
You know, Pig, you came to Season 1 for the first time over here in Europe, and you played on that stage. You had that feeling of a little bit of anticipation, ready to get into this. First game, audience in the crowd, everyone's watching you. Elazer, in a similar way, his first time up there, but he's 17 years old. Roddy mentioned it a little bit before as well, is that he's played in one DreamHack ever, and at DreamHack tournaments we've seen over the years, you don't exactly go into the spotlight straight away, as you've seen as well, as you kind of play your games in the back. His challenger match this season was played at home. Now he's playing on that stage. What do you think is going through his mind at such a young age?
You know, I think with these younger players, when they get put on this stage, there's two very different reactions we see, and you can never predict until you actually see the player playing their games. And there's either the players who are just exceptionally confident. Well, speaking of which, looks like we might be seeing some of that there from Elazer. On the other hand, sometimes they crack a little bit, they feel the pressure, but I'd really like to see these players come in here and just say, look, I got nothing to lose. I just want to play some sick games. I want to show people what I'm made of. And I think with that smile on Elazer's face, a little bit of showboating there, I think he's coming in with a really good attitude.
You know, something really funny happened earlier today when we were upstairs. I was talking a little bit with Liubao about his games yesterday, and we were talking about that Expedition Lost game, and Elazer is standing next to us. I was like, hey, why did you drop that pylon, by the way, on the low ground? Like, it was in vision of Hydra. He's like, yeah, that was not very smart. He's like, I don't know, I got nervous. And then Elazer looked at him, he's like, but why did you do it? And then Liubao looked at him very confused. He's like, I was nervous. If you're on stage, you get nervous. And Elazer looked at him so confused, like, that doesn't make any sense. And then Liubao looked at him, he's like, trust me, you'll see when you're on stage, you're going to play really bad. And then Elazer looked at him, he's like, wow, thank you. Like, what is this about, you know? It was so funny, but like, there is no telling, like Pig said. Right. Some people freak themselves out and some handle it really well.
Two very different players, though. You got a completely new player, and then you got one that's played in every single Premier League, has traveled 2 times to the studios in America to compete there, and secretly has potential to be, you know, one of the best non-Koreans in our scene, right?
Absolutely. I mean, something we're going to talk about later if we get a MajOr versus Polt matchup is that he actually has a winning record versus Polt, who's last season's champion. You know, he's got some fantastic TvT in him, but his TvZ is also something which a lot of foreign players fear. In the NA scene, the American scene especially, people say MajOr's the best Terran. Scarlet, Kane, all the top sort of Zergs over there, they love to practice with MajOr because he's just such a strong player.
And even when you don't really hear a whole lot about MajOr, that doesn't mean that he's not practicing, because he's pretty much either watching Pokemon videos or he's practicing. Like, that's literally MajOr's life. Like, he writes you on Facebook, he's like, Roddy, when can I play a show match? Or do you want to watch videos with me? I was like, no, MajOr, but I will invite you. Like, even when he doesn't participate in everything, he's always around the scene. He's always watching. And I mean, we know as soon as something is popular in Korea, MajOr is the first foreign Terran to just copy it bit by bit.
All right, well, thank you very much, gentlemen, for your expert analysis. Ladies and gentlemen, Rotterdam and Pig. It's now time to start game number 1 of today. Let's head into it with our commentary team. It's going to be Todd and, of course, Kalaris.
That's right. Thank you, boys, as we get into our first series of the day. Elazer versus MajOr. And Elazer showed a little bit of his brilliance into Challenger, but now he goes up against yet another extremely formidable opponent in MajOr. Can he do it again?
Just a little bit of brilliance. I would say a lot of brilliance, to be honest. He beats a top 4 player from last season. That's very impressive already. But now it's a different matchup, man. It's Terran. It's MajOr, who's very, very good at TvZ. And Elazer, though, he's the new kid on the block. You know, if you think Premier League, if you think Polish Zergs, you think, I guess, Nurcio and Tefel.
Yeah.
Not really Elazer. He really is that new guy, one of the new good players that we have here in Europe that can do very well, but hasn't shown very, very strong results. Hasn't had any really deep runs, I think, in any tournament. So here is his chance.
Yeah, definitely. This is basically his best finish to date so far, getting here to the round of 32 in Season 2. And if he can push himself on further, that would be miraculous. That would be absolutely fantastic for Elazer here, but he goes into a group that is extremely powerful. Obviously, Sean already pointed out that 3 of these players have been in every single Premier since. So Elazer finds himself in the Dragon's Den as he goes up against MajOr. To start things off, let's get into it. Expedition Lost is our first map. Spawning to the bottom left-hand corner, it's our red Zerg representing Team Extreme Supremacy. It is Elazer. And up to the top right-hand corner, it's our blue Terran. Indeed, it is MajOr.
I spoke a bit with MajOr, and I asked him who does he turn to for inspiration in Tender Zerg, and his answer surprised me a little bit. He said TY.
Oh, really?
Yeah, out of all Terrans. I guess maybe that's because, you know, he's friends with him. As for whether he's gonna go mech or bio, because he's definitely capable of going for either, I think it's gonna be bio. I got the vibe that it's gonna be bio. He didn't really seem to want to get into details about it, but
Okay.
I do think it's gonna be bio. Or maybe he just totally fooled me and he's going mech all the way.
And then likewise on the other side here, Todd, Elazer, are you expecting anything in particular from him? I mean, we've seen quite a bit of 2-base Spire plays from our Zergs. We've seen them trying to bust out Terrans. Obviously the changes for them, you know, have taken a little bit of a toll.
Honestly, I expect him to play straight up because he seems to be someone that prepares very well. I don't think that you can beat Showtime unless you prepared very, very well for that match. So I think going into, you know, this tournament here, he already kind of, you know, on one hand, he showed confidence. You know, he just did the cutthroat sign here in the pre-game. But at the same time, looked a little bit nervous here and there. He's been a pretty quiet guy, a nice guy, but a pretty quiet guy here. So I think this tournament, you know, obviously it's very important to him. And I think he prepared tons. And he's really going to try to show all his preparation here with, I think, mostly macro games.
Well,
depending on maps too, though.
True, that is true.
Like
I think
that back door on this map, man, sometimes it's too tempting. You have to bust it with roaches and get in there.
Yeah, we've seen that quite a lot on this map. It can be a bit devastating here for Terrans. Obviously, Expedition Loss is our first then. We have Echo and Coda following up, or Coda and Echo, whichever order you want to go for with those two. As for now, Elazer, he's taking no prisoners. He's just checking. He checked his back rocks before. SCV is on the way for MajOr to just be able to spot what is going on and make sure nothing crazy is happening on the side here for Elazer.
Yeah, no Reaper here on this map is not surprising, I think.
Yeah.
And I mean, MajOr, his strength in general is just his macro. You know, we were talking about this a little bit earlier with a few people. Even if his micro is not the best in certain situations, especially with like bigger armies, his mechanics and macro are just so good in general that it doesn't really matter. MajOr is the guy that's basically never going to be floating any minerals, that will have a very good pace in the game with not just the dropping, but at the same time expanding, you know, keeping up with the upgrades and producing units. That's really what he's very good at. I remember MajOr, like for the longest time, as the guy that if you did something a little bit greedy or out of the ordinary, like basically unless you were cheesing him, he would try to outgrid you.
Fair play. Well, actually, I didn't manage to spot that down to the bottom right-hand corner, that Overlord skirted across the vision of everything that MajOr had there, and already kills himself off one Zergling, doesn't manage to deny the second one, but with those 2 Marines, should be totally fine. And those Zerglings don't get really much done, but I mean, most has been revealed to him. He didn't see any of the tech or anything like that, but with the command center on the way, and MajOr usually ends up going over to the factory anyway here, so he probably studied MajOr a little bit. Although there's not much resource to study MajOr from, to be honest. He doesn't really play in a whole lot.
Yeah. It's really interesting to me that, you know, guys like Tefel and Nurtio, they didn't make it into the Premier League, but Elazer, the new kid on the block, did, you know? There are guys who had quite some success, or I guess had some decent runs here and there, you know, in WCS, made Premier League a few times, but here and now, at a time where, you know, you don't see too many good players, you know, coming out of nowhere and like starting to do well in the ladder, and then in tournaments, he's definitely one of those guys, you know, that's really picked up, I guess, a lot of skill and experience on the ladder, And now he gets a great opportunity to finally showcase that here in the biggest and best tournament on StarCraft.
And for Major, already there's Widow Mines in production. These two Hellions are poking away at the front here, so Elazer might read into this a little bit wrongly if he expects more Hellions to be following things up. But with the Widow Mines and the Medevac on the way, is there a potential here for Major to do something with this?
I think if this is handled well, I don't think it will do much. It really depends on how prepared Elazer is in terms of Zerglings and Banelings when this hits. I think the sole reason he got this Baneling Nest is to defend whatever is going to be thrown at him. Which in this case, he really hasn't scouted much, by the way. Like didn't even try to check if there was a... Okay, finally he's going to get the perfect scout. He knows that the Medivac is en route. Sees no third CC, so he knows that he's going to hit hard. So he needs to get a lot of units right now. He's actually supply blocked here for a second.
Yeah, so no switchover either from the barracks and the starport for the tech lab here, so he should be completely fine with that to be able to deal with anything that's oncoming. Just needs to position his units rightly, and already the Queens are here to greet this and make sure it shouldn't do too much. Start on back now, see if he can actually deny these Widow Mines from doing much at all. Zerglings are already on the first one. Will they be able to kill it off in time? Yeah, they do get that one.
The second one?
The Baneling cleaned up. The Zerglings wouldn't have been able to get the best of positions on it because of how it was positioned in that mineral line, but Baneling is able to deny it pretty nicely.
Yeah, the defense was brilliant.
Yeah, wow, really, really well done to start things off for Elazer.
Defended nicely, but I mean, he invested a lot of money into Zerglings and Banelings. So as much as he preserved most of those alive, maybe could have made, I guess, a little less Zerglings in general. Maybe not even made any Banelings. And right now it's 48 drones to 37 SCVs. The third command center is about to finish, and it's then going to be morphed into an orbital ASAP for the triple mule usage. Double eBay already up here for Major, and then the Port Viking being produced. I guess he's going to be able to get at least the two overlords that are around Major's base.
That's always nice. But I think for now, so far, so good for Elazer, right? I mean, he's on lockdown. He's got his layer on the way. He hasn't lost many units in comparison to what we saw from Major there. And ideally, Major would have loved to have got a few drones, but he got pretty much nothing. So he's just going to have to skirt around here with the Hellions. Maybe try and find a few Zerglings here and there. But other than that, he's not getting much done.
Yeah, the crisp rate's not bad. On a scale from 1 to Scarlet, I guess. A good 3.
Yeah, it's doing okay. It's doing okay. Hellions were maybe looking for an opportunity to try and deny some of that.
Oh, cool positioning on the Spire. At the third base, at a position where it's really going to be hard for Major to see it. So timing those mutas going to be difficult, but you have to assume he's going to be getting turrets on time, and no matter what.
No, just darting in again to the right-hand side. And a fourth base actually goes down. In vision of this Viking. I
can't believe he's taking the gold, man.
Well, I guess if he's pushing down this angle in an aggressive stance, then yeah, that's okay, but...
Taking a third base on this map is just so difficult, whether you take it on the left or the right-hand side. So Major says, you know what? Since it's so hard to take a third base, I'm gonna raise the stakes, accept the challenge, take the middle base, rally units there, and be pretty aggressive. Because I'm pretty sure you don't want to be passive when you do this.
No, not at all. You'll instantly get shut down. I mean, even the Lings and Banelings are already in a position that they can try and deny this. Anything that would come along is going to have a bit of a hard time only defending. As they will already move on forwards. Lings to the right-hand side have divided up from their other pack and get roasted up by the Hellions. So good control there by Major.
It's really nice, denying those mules from mining there. Major lost a lot of minerals there, but the counter-attack here at the third base on the bottom right-hand side with a lot of Marines.
It doesn't have Century Hooks, doesn't have his Lings here either, so this could do quite a bit of damage. Two Medevacs there to be able to aid this as well. Unless the Queens are able to put pressure on towards them, put a timer on this force, he's going to lose a lot of Lings because the Banelings took ages to get back to clean this up.
He needs mutas. Okay, 8 mutas are finally going to start to try and help and shut down those Medivacs. Elazer is actually dropping creep around the middle base somehow. I don't know why, but just gonna chase this down. Major with some really nice micro over there, but I mean, he lost 10 SCVs. He's down to 52 against 66 drones. He did delay the fourth base, which is now gonna start on the bottom right-hand side, and then from there, it's gonna be a lot of units being made from both flares, and I guess a lot of fighting from now.
Yeah, more units on the way up towards the goal to try and put some pressure on. They don't really get what they want to do.
Oh, the bottom right-hand base.
This threat is quite the pressure. He could even land the Viking and add some extra damage to this. He can do whatever he wants really there, because the units are just too slow to get back. Gets the kill, gets the drone, slows down that economy even more.
Look at this, even on the left-hand side now, Major setting up for another Medivac drop. at the same time, this is going to take time here for Elazer to clear out these units on the right-hand side. He has nothing in the main to defend.
Great little multi-pronged attack here from Major. Really dragging around these units left and right. Getting himself a queen potentially as well. Good focus fire onto the Banelings. Has to pick up and manage to get out as he knows, once again, timer is above his head. Mutalisks could come to reinforce.
Yeah. It's funny how both players, by the way, started +2 attack upgrade for ground units. Guess it's been pretty action-packed. They've both lost quite a few units. And now Elazer finally is going to start using, you know, that position on the goal base to maybe try and go for some counter-attack, I think, around the natural. He set up a lot of Zerglings on the top left-hand side. He's going to run right in there. The depots are raised.
Ooh, gets on in. The door is open. Separates the lings up to the left and tried to separate some up into the main base, but that is fully walled off. So at least Major was able to react to that. And a big actual swell of units is moving towards his gold. He could actually do some damage here. All the units were back towards his natural to try and do something about it. And another drop down to the bottom right as well. Baneling's going to crash on through, get themselves some SCVs. Elazer with the big damage. 16 workers killed off, but this base is going to be limited once again.
Yes, 18 SCVs now died. This is a big number, but Major is still on 47 SCVs against 66 drones. Elazer doing a fantastic job of attacking multiple places and defending, but now the fourth base gets cancelled again. But Major, he's not really mining from the gold anymore. This has been a slugfest, man. Very action-packed. Neither player really wanting to just, you know, sit back and let the other guy macro.
I mean, all these losses, do they take a toll on Major? He's done some damage himself. Is it relatively even at the moment here, Todd?
I think, like in terms of, you know, Elazer here, he has so much room for just, you know, keep on throwing in counter-attacks.
Yeah.
The creep spread has never been denied this game. So eventually, if he's able to take a good fight on creep and completely shuts down Major, then counter-attacking that gold is just going to be so fast. It's all about not taking a really bad fight for Elazer here.
And there's a few Widowmines
He might be doing.
And he actually lost a lot of the Banelings before they were actually able to crash into those Marines, and plenty here to deny the Mutalisks. There was also a counter-attack towards the natural.
Didn't do much.
Few SCVs, but you're right, not too much.
Oh, I can't believe he went for that this way here. Major, with the good enough splits, didn't really lose all that much. He's re-getting a bunker here at the gold base, and I'm pretty sure that he's going to be applying pressure here momentarily, but still 2 lings in the main, by the way, of Major.
It felt like the trades had gone like really evenly up until that engagement just then, but and losing a few Mutalisks as well there. So got to be very careful about how he advances forwards now, because Major set himself up strongly in the middle, and I don't think these counterattacks are going to work forever for Elazer.
Yeah, I don't know why he's playing so aggressive off creep, to be honest. The last attack was bad, and now it's really worrying me moving out so far.
Do you think it's fear of the goal base being up and running like this?
Yeah, possibly. I think he's trying to catch Major off guard, but I mean, Major's good enough, you know, to look at his army, split, use the Widowmines that he has, and he's getting quite a few Widowmines here, actually. He's already got a bunch, getting a Thor here in as well. The fourth base is now finally getting saturated for Elazer.
That's a lot of Widowmines. He has to be careful about how he moves with these Banelings. They kill off some of the bio, but he loses a few there. Over to the right-hand side. The Mutalisks to the left did go to try and intercept that, thanks to the fact that he had that watchtower. And, even more Banelings!
20 SCVs?
Workers!
Oh my god, Elazer really making this work here for himself, really showing the strength that Zerg can have against Darren on this map, just because, again, taking a third base can be so difficult, and defending against all of these run-bys and attacks from Zergs.
I have sympathy for you, Funker. This game is all over the place at the moment. Elazer is once again trying to put on some pressure, really not letting this gold base gather any momentum whatsoever. 45 workers to 70. Elazer has that fourth base up and running, and Major has had no breathing room to continue putting on pressure towards that fourth base.
Playing with fire here a little bit, and he might get burnt. Elazer is beating Major at his own game here too. Like, he's playing, straight up macro game. Of course, it's Expedition lost, and it's a Thean trying to, hold on to a third, taking a gold, but still, he's done a fantastic job of going around. And now I think he might be setting out, I mean, with the supply lead that he has, and right now he knows that he has a lot of units, he might be thinking about whether or not he should be attacking right now. And another run by was gonna hit on the natural, but Major had enough units there. Major is mining out the main and natural very quickly, by the way. He's been spamming lows.
Drop into the main base. Don't think it will get a whole lot done. He did kill off a queen, so that will slightly limit how much production we're going to see here from Elazer, but he's very close to max out. As for now, he is holding Major at bay, and once he hits that max out, Major has really got to buckle down in that middle location.
It's
and the door is open again.
Zerglings in the middle of the map. Oh my god.
Okay, quite a bit of sacrifice there. I think he was concentrating on his run by, but that also got cleaned up. But that's still a lot of Banelings here, as he could get the wraparound, and Major's not paying attention. He loses a lot of those Marines on the right-hand side. And that was quite a chunk of his army there.
Elazer has been doing
Oh.
a fantastic job of basically anticipating when MajOr wasn't going to be looking at his army, and every time engaging into it with a lot of banelings.
Good splits there, though, by MajOr. At the same time, those Widow Mines to the right-hand side on the fourth base have cleared up quite a few of the drones. So not exactly the most healthy of economies. It's still 62 workers, so nothing to sniff at. But this is the most important base for him right now. He needs this economy up and running so that he can continue on.
MajOr caught up quite nicely, by the way, in the supply counts. He finally, kind of sat back at the goal rather than apply pressure on. He made a lot of Widow Mines, which I really like against this many Zerglings and Banelings, but right now Elazer is still trying to engage.
Oh, can he catch those Widow Mines before they even detonate? He gets 5 Widow Mines before they even get a detonation, as he will try and chase on against this army as quickly as possible. His 30 army supply up, so why on earth not? Doesn't have that many more Banelings, though, against these Marines that have been able to carry back as quickly as possible, keeping out of harm's way against those Banelings, as they don't keep out of harm's way for much longer, though. Elazer has chased him all the way back to production, and then from that point on, how is MajOr supposed to stabilize from here, Todd?
Yeah, it's going to be so hard. He needs to hold this somehow, but I don't think his production is good enough here. Some Marines are coming in one by one. They're going to get sniped by the Mutas, and there's just too much.
Wow, GG. Elazer comes flying out of the gates here in game number 1. And look at his face. He knows how well he played in that game. What a game, though. What a game. Drops everywhere. Elazer being able to react accordingly to those drops. He had his 4th base denied for a little while there, but in the end, all of his aggression allowed him to stabilize himself back at home.
I really thought this was going to be better for MajOr when I saw him, starting to drop the way he was doing, a little bit in the main on the right-hand side. He denied the 4th for a very long time, but Elazer just solid enough in the end, got some good trades, sent him some Zerglings and Banelings, started killing SCVs in huge numbers, and then from there never really let go of his lead, except the one time I guess he attacked and lost a lot of units, not killing much. But other than that, pretty clean and impressive game by him.
Well done there to Elazer for game number 1. We're going to go to a short break, guys, and when we're back, it's going to be game number 2 between Elazer and MajOr. All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, here to the World Championship Series, as we are in game number 2 here between Elazer and, of course, MajOr. So, it is going to be on Coda to start things off here, Todd.
Yeah, MajOr, first game, wasn't really able to make it happen. Took that 3rd base at the gold, and Elazer just picked him apart. Few run-bys, few Mutas here and there, a few Banelings. Did a fantastic job just in general of just exploiting the mobility of his army, the map and all that. And in the end, his macro was really good. Like, you can tell he's one of the, one of those Zergs that put in a lot of work. He's very, very fast. And I expect him to try for the same thing, but on Coda, it's going to be a lot harder than an Expedition Lost.
All right, well, getting into it now. Here, game number 2. Between MajOr and Elazer, as we have spawning up to the top left-hand corner here as our red Zerg. It is Elazer. Able to win game number 1. Such an impressive feat there. And then down to the bottom right-hand corner, we have our blue Terran. It is MajOr.
MajOr, who I really think is one of the better, foreign Terrans out there in terms of, mechanics, macro and all that. But in the first game, it just wasn't enough. And on this map, I'm sure he's going to want to look to play similarly, but this time, not going to be forced into, taking a gold base. Probably going to be, actually, I wonder, which 3rd base do you take here on this map? Really depends on how offensive he wants to be. I think probably the one more towards the middle. If he really wants to be as aggressive as he was in the previous game. Like for a Zerg, holding on to a 3rd base or even taking a 4th base is still going to be pretty difficult here.
All right, so it being Coda, obviously we're seeing these maps a lot nowadays. Coda and Echo have become extremely popular in the WCS round of 32. Obviously seeing them in Challenger League as well. Do you think MajOr can pull it? I mean, personally, I always think that MajOr can pull back a series. It doesn't matter who he's against. But Elazer, I was really surprised by him in game number 1. He really, really showed some great skills there, despite him not really having attended too many of these land situations.
Yeah. This time MajOr, though, I'm sure he's more comfortable here on this map, and it's a Reaper opener here too, because he went for the racks and then gas at 11. So we're probably going to see at least 2, maybe 3 Reapers, maybe 4 if he loses one. It's always interesting to try and guess the number of Reapers, but I expect MajOr, you know, to micro well,
Yeah.
not lose one of his early on.
Yeah, we've seen really good Reaper control from people like MajOr in the past, and even, you know, Terrans, we've seen a lot of Korean Terrans actually just put themselves in great advantages based on how much they've done with Reapers alone. That being said, a lot of Zergs can deal with it, and there are steps to take to be able to deal with it, like having a few Zerglings to buffer for the Queens, to then buffer for speed to finish. So,
everyone got better against all these harassing units, like, you know, the Reapers, like Medivac, drop Widow Mines, everybody except me, Lars.
except you, man, because you don't play the...
I'm still having a terrible time.
I was about to say because you don't play Zerg, but...
Oh, well, Protoss.
Yeah.
Reapers and Widowmine drops are still a thing in TVP, believe me.
They do what they can. Reaper's already on the way in here. This drone needs to keep itself alive. Very close. Ooh, and just a bit of a scratch there.
Actually, this is nice for MajOr. He went for Rax and gas on 11, so the Reaper was pretty fast. And because Elazer went for Hatch first, before he had it on the gas in the pool, he's you see his Queens that are pretty late. And even though like the Lynx were out here, he lost one drone.
Yeah, it certainly doesn't want this to loop around and get the other drone, that's for sure. As 6 Zerglings out now, Queen does pop out, and we'll be able to shoot this off for just a moment. Likewise, second Queen down here, just doing any damage you can do, and then just pull them on back, heal them up. It's a great little start, because with the third Reaper about to join, the next volley is going to be the one that can sting.
Speed's going to be decently fast. It's very important for MajOr that he times it really well with you know, the retreat back home with the Reapers. If he stays out on the map too long, they're going to get caught and killed a lot of the time. Which, I mean, it's not necessarily the end of the world, but just opens up, you know, for some counter-aggression. A little bit of map control by the Zerg. Ooh.
Slight click there on the rocks.
This has been pretty annoying here for Elazer.
Took a bit of damage there with the Reapers now, just having to pull them back. Getting a few Zerglings here and there, not too bad.
Speed is 25 seconds away from finishing, so... might be a good time now to head on home for MajOr. I don't think Elazer is going to try for anything like, you know, a bunch of links. We saw that being very unsuccessful, I think, yesterday when a Zerg player tried it. And yeah, it's just been, you know, that third CC going down. The starport as well. Now he's going to add on the second refinery here.
I like that he left one Reaper in the middle as well to control the watchtower whilst they were retreating on back. And Elazer, though, he's having none of it. He is going all the way around the left-hand side to evade that vision and control. There's also Hellions moving into the middle as well. He knows those kind of stages that are going to be coming along. Once there's Reapers there, generally there's going to be Hellions there. The Lings have positioned themselves in such a way to kind of negate those positions.
So because MajOr didn't rush that second gas too fast, he's not going to have the gas to go for Cloak, but... you can sure start that first bench ASAP, of course. Well, I don't think he's going to go for Cloak. Like, he's going to have the gas soon, but...
Figured the full extent of units might have been out on the map, but they were not.
Actually, I guess it makes sense, because he's still mining quite a bit of gas. He has 3+3. And he still hasn't started it. Yeah, he's just going to start Steam Pack ASAP. You see, he's getting the Tech Lab. Fully expect additional racks and double eBay to go down here very, very soon, unless he wants to go for mech.
Yeah.
But since he went for the Tech Lab here on the barracks, even though he already had, and he already has one on the starport, I'm pretty sure he's going to start Steam pretty quickly. Yeah, here we go.
No continued production of Hellions after the first couple. So it's just the 6 with the 3 Reapers at the front, which again, you know, we've seen actually do quite a lot of damage. Even 2 Spine and a Spore Crawler.
Look at this, man. They're entering the Fury Road again.
Yeah, they got to do quite a bit of damage. Hellions are the perfect unit for Fury Road, man. Burning things, just darting on about in little June buggies. He's going to get himself 1 Queen. Lynx were on for the counter-attack as well. And once again, we're into a fiery start here in this game as these Hellions continue to try and burn away everything. But that Spine Crawler finishing at the front, I think we should be okay.
I always wondered why Zergs don't really make like a static defense like this against these attacks, and it didn't look that convincing. I understand now.
The timing just slightly off, unfortunately, for him. As now Banshee enters the fray. At least the Banshee can't do much at the front, obviously because the Spore Crawler was added on.
With the Spire starting now, like Mutas are going to come out in a while here, so these Banshees, they can do quite a bit of damage, but he loses one. Very characteristic here of MajOr.
He had to find sweet spots, but unfortunately, that wasn't sweet enough.
Actually, he went for a single Banshee, I think, right? Like he went straight into a Viking behind his.
No Cloak cancelled it as well, so Like, I think he realized, especially after seeing the spore crawl up front,
Yeah.
all right, this guy is covering his bases. He is not going to be fooled. And Cloak would just be pretty useless at this point.
Walker-wise, Major is doing fantastic. It was 46 to 46 walkers up until a second ago when Elazer had a few drones come out. Now it's 56 to 47, so still very close. And look at this. Third base towards the middle of the map. We are going to have a very aggressive Major. And this game, you know, the creep spread is really not that impressive. It's going to be very hard, not just to defend the third base for Elazer, but I mean, taking a fourth is going to be mission impossible.
Major loves expanding down these aggressive paths and just continuing to rally units there and there again. And Lings for a counter once again. Can erase supply depots? Doesn't even need to. There's plenty of firepower there for him with those Marines in tow, just to make sure that these Lings can't do too much.
Yeah, I really like how that Viking is going all the way around the map, by the way. Just making sure there's no overloads there. That's going to open up a path to possibly drop through there later on. You know, queue some medivac, drop in the main, do some damage to do, you know, the usual trick. You bring the Zerg army out of position. At the same time, you attack either the third or the fourth. The Baneling nest finally being made here for Elazer around the third base. Double Evo is going to start as 1-1 finishes for the Terran. That's really, really late.
An extra factory being added on here, no doubt for Widowmine production once again, I would suspect, but it does have a tech, it's been landed on a tech lab, so, well, he's going to shoo him off in the middle. These Mutalisks can't do a whole lot. Plenty of Lings on the way though now. He's up at 63 drones at the moment, just starting up some of those units, making sure that he can hold on with plenty more upgrades on the way as well. His 1-1 was quite late though, as you were saying, I think.
Yeah, Major, like he can, the armor is about to finish. He can start 2-2 ASAP here. So it's going to be great for him, you know, if he can complete that, if he can just make sure he gets cost-effective trades. He's even ahead in supply right now. In terms of macro, I mean, there isn't many people that can macro better than Major, and right now, since this game, he hasn't fallen behind, quite the opposite. He's doing a fantastic job.
It's going to be soon time for that drilling clause and make these Widow Mines all the more powerful when they enter the battlefield. But of course, he should be able to fend this off as long as he gets the right position. It's a little bit difficult. Sometimes, you know, Widow Mines get those glorious connections that they want. And for now, Centrifugal Hooks is nowhere near completion. So Major, at the very least here, can get some creep denial and even put on some pressure to the left-hand side.
Yeah. It's really cool that Viking, by the way, on the left-hand side spotted like a chunk of Zerglings going by. And I think Major knows he's about to get hit by a run-by, so he has some units ready back at home.
Oh, he brought the medevac back as well, with his entire force. So, a few Lings do dart on it, races them all as they're in there, but kills off with the Widow Mine and even picks up some of the Marines to actually save them. So, hasn't really lost a whole lot to that.
Yeah. It's really cool. Major moved across the map. He basically pretended he was going to drop and be aggressive, and then when he realized that the Zerg's probably making a ton of units and morphing in a lot of Banelings, he just pulls back. I think he might just wait for the 2-2 to be there and like just to have, you know, his ideal army composition with that kind of Widow Mines to deal with the ground, with the Banelings and all that. And of Marines, he's going to have at least one Thor in there because he has one on the way here.
And there is a lot of Banelings about to morph in. Extra 15 here to couple with the 23 that are already on the field.
Oh, Elazer, I don't know about attacking here, man.
Already Widow Mine set up. He sends up some of the Lings forwards. He had to try and soak up some of those shots. Quite a lot of Banelings actually did pretty well there. And he's going to come in with another wave again. 24 Banelings still remain on the field.
There's so many Widow Mines just right there.
Yeah, as you said, there's quite a bit, and they don't get massive connections. The Banelings still rolling forwards. They kill off quite a bit of the bio to the left-hand side. Banelings didn't get many SCVs, though.
Yeah, they got none. Oh, it's actually just two. Just two SCVs working. I don't know what these guys are doing there. They're like exploring the map, but Major, even the bunker lived on. He repaired that with very low hit points. I thought this was going to go better for Major, but in the end, he still pulls ahead in supply behind this. Look at this on the left-hand side. That Viking sees so many Zerglings just going by every time.
Yeah, it's really, really good little spotting tactic in the end. Even if it has been used entirely for its job against the Overlords, of course, can still be used later
I have to say, Major's micro or even positioning not been the best. I really thought like off creep like this, he should win the fight much better than the way it went down. Especially the Widow Mines, they were like all clumped up. Banelings detonated on like all of them.
And he lost another one. Separating up the Lings, realizing that there are those Widow Mines on the retreat out, so at least he saves two, but it's
Major right now having a Hellbat on the base on the top right-hand side. I think he knows that the fourth base of Elazer is going to be taken towards the middle of the map, and he's probably pretty happy about this because he's going to move forward from the middle watchtower with Widow Mines and Bio, and I think he's going to be able to do well.
It's very, very close indeed. Just a hop, skip, and a jump across the middle. And he will be able to put some pressure on himself. There's not really that much developed creep here. Another counter-attack goes in and will catch a little bit of the bio. Also, the door is open once again to get into that mineral line. So getting himself maybe a few SCVs here and there, slowing down some of the production and continuation of that command center.
Doesn't he get a bunker? Oh, actually, that 4CC is going to get cancelled. Elazer once again engaging into the army at the same time, knowing that Major's probably not going to be looking. Why does Major always keep the door open, man? He's taking the saying, Mikasa es su casa, quite literally here.
Cancellation on that command center. So that's a nice pickup there for Elazer. And well, he keeps trying to go for these counters. They are slowly being cleaned up. This can only work for so long. I said it in the first game. These kind of counters can only work for so long.
Major's starting to pull really far ahead in army supply, by the way, here. The Walker count's even with 70 to 70, but it's 120 army supply for Major, 88 for Elazer. Composition-wise, 60 Marines, 2 Thors, and only 2 Widow Mines, actually. That's a very low number, but I guess they keep on dying.
How are you supposed to stop this kind of army? I mean, how many banelings does he actually have? 28?
He's morphing in... actually, no, he's not morphing in anyway.
He needs more. Yeah, he's got 28 at the moment, but going up against 70 Marines...
Oh, the Medivac drop in the main. Elazer was ready.
Good. Separating just a few units up there. Banelings in tow as well, just make sure they can't do much. And
he needs to leapfrog with the Widow Mines better and get a good engagement. He clumps them way too much every time banelings.
It doesn't have many at the moment, only 4 Widow Mines. So those numbers could have been heightened a little bit here during this, but drops the scan, sees the development of this creep, and sees the position of some of this.
He's trying to get a good engagement, but you see he's already preparing with a flank, like a small flank with few Zerglings and like 1 baneling at the bottom. Look at how rich Major is. He needs to fight here, I think.
Trade off some of that against all of this. That's a lot of banelings once again crashing on forward.
He left so many units back at home.
He's going to clean this up.
Base.
He's going to completely clean this up. And yeah, there's such a force there to be able to... Well, I guess it's in reserve, but
he's gonna mines. Major's dropping at the same time in the 4th base of Elazer, but he's getting crushed back at home.
Losing all of this and losing this position. If he loses all the SCVs here, that could be disastrous. He lost a command center, dropping over to this 4th base, has to pick up and go into the main.
Yeah, I think Major's gonna have enough. He lost most of his army just before 3-3 finish. I have to say his macro, again, really what's holding him back here. He was doing really well for everything, especially macro-wise. But again, every time he's positioning in his fights, he's just really not that good, and his macro splitting everything.
At least he's buying time with that drop back at home. Just bouncing between these bases. The Mutalisks weren't there, so obviously they need to come back, and because of that, they can't continue to apply the pressure that they were. But when that cleaned up, can Elazer go for yet another wave of attacks here?
8 drones were killed, and Elazer is going to remake those ASAP to try and resaturate the 4th base in particular. 21 banelings on the way. I think Major right now, like, he's probably not sure of where he's at, you know, like whether he's ahead or behind. He's not sure whether he should attack or just gonna sit back, secure his own 4th with turrets and a planetary. It's been a pretty action-packed game with a lot of trades, and it's very, very hard while playing this kind of game to exactly evaluate where you're at.
Separate some of his units off again. There was a Marauder or 2 at the front trying to tank against all of this, but a really good separation of the Bioforce up against that many banelings.
Yeah, finally.
Brilliant greeting there.
The fight that Major's been needing the entire game here happens, and he has a nice hold, but supply-wise, he's still very close.
Yeah.
In army supply, though, he's quite far ahead.
He dropped the scan, he saw the extra banelings morphing in. As much as he has a small bioforce here, I don't think he felt that he could really walk up there and start applying the pressure. Just needs to gather some more momentum himself. His army is
That Viking, man. That Viking is like the oracle of the Terran player.
Yeah, he spotted
saw everything.
Yeah. And the thing is that as this group goes on, if Elazer has to play Pult at any particular point, he knows pretty much how Elazer's probably going to play out unless he does something a little bit more aggressive in the earlier stages, because it's all been about these run-bys and trying to do damage here and there.
Elazer's going to go for another wave here. Can Major split well enough this time?
I think he needs to engage with the Banelings, Zerglings, and Mutalisks at the same time in the same location, because that didn't go well for him at all. That was quite the sacrifice of units.
Major is struggling to control his units. Look at this. He has another pack of Marines behind this in a corner, like doing nothing. Doing some archaeology, like in the corner of the map. Like, needs to be more careful with this, but the win was good enough, I think, in the fight, and now he's on the counter-attack. Elazer, I'm not sure he has enough here. In terms of banelings, he's down to 16. He's morphing 8 more.
He was bringing his reinforcements to the front, so he did lose a chunk of his army at the front, but again, as you said, doesn't have that many banelings, has to morph in some more. Here comes the next wave. That's all he has for now, though, morphing in a few more. And the pre-split alone was enough to kind of ward off that push from actually doing crippling damage.
Yeah, Major's now got his own force. He's been on 3-3 against 2-2 upgrades for the longest time, and Elazer is just trying to stay in this game, trying to get more banelings, but I don't think he's going to be able to do much longer here. Even though Major's army here mostly consists of mass medivacs.
Not too bad a cleanup in the end. Yeah, those medivacs not really doing a whole lot themselves. So actually there's quite a bit of army supply in that. 10, with only 16 Marines left on the field at the moment.
He forgot 3.
And I'm wondering if... Oh yeah, he did. I'm wondering if he even has the economy to continue this on, as much as he would like to pounce on this opportunity and push forwards. I don't know if he has that many units.
Yeah, the splits were good enough here with some of the Marines, and without any banelings on the ground, it's going to be very hard for Elazer to stay there. Ideally, like Elazer, he'd like to be able to blow up, to something like 20 SCVs, and then maybe, it'd be in a good position. Medivac's going to get sniped, but I mean, in the meantime, Major already having a 4.
You wouldn't mind. Okay, that did quite a bit of damage, and they also kept all these Marines alive anyway for the most part, which...
The Hellbat on the top right-hand side actually caught some long-distance mining drones that were going there.
He's been there for a while. He's been on vacation, but now it's time. It's his job. And unfortunately, those Meadlists have swung up there and probably will be able to clean that up.
Oh, look, it's the Oracle. He's going to land.
No, you've done so well. You've done so well. Oh, poor guy.
I mean, there's a PF there, so...
Yeah, it's all right.
It's going to be okay.
Putting on some pressure towards
and at the same time, Major realized that the army was out of position here for Elazer, so he goes right into that base.
He could do the hat-trick.
Elazer has no banelings. No banelings at all.
Only a few lings here trying to sprinkle in from either side, but against this, with the 3-3 power that we're seeing behind it, GG, game number 2 goes to Major. He ties up this series in our first best of 3 of the day. And look at him, he looks ecstatic.
It's a little bit weird, this situation. I'm no TvZ expert, but I feel like Elazer is engaging off creep a lot. And I guess because the first few engagements went well for him, better than they should have, it kind of seems like it encouraged him to continue, to keep on attacking to that third base of the Terran player, even though he was already set up there. And from some point, I guess maybe the second or third engagements, Major starting having good enough holds that it just wasn't worth it anymore. And then he had too many leftovers, and with the counterattacks, he had some good trades. Even though his drops never really did much this game, in the end, the hold and the fact that he was ahead early on was enough for him to win it.
So I can only imagine that, obviously at the beginning of this series, I mentioned that, Elazer probably doesn't have too much to study of Major because he doesn't really play too much. Likewise, though, on the other side, does Major really have much to study of Elazer? And also, throughout this series, is he feeling him out? Because at the first game, he died to these counterattacks, and unfortunately it didn't go Major's way. Second game comes along, same kind of style, but was able to cope with it much better. Third game comes along, is Major now gaining a lot of momentum?
I'm not sure if he's gaining momentum, but in terms of studying his opponent, I asked him earlier if he had seen any game of Elazer, and he was like, no, I've never seen him play. So.
Okay, perfect, man.
Not ideal. But I guess he had faith in his TvZ, and it showed in the last game, not in the first one. I'm glad that Elazer is really, is bringing it. I love to see new players like this on the scene, being able to do well. Really goes to prove that anybody out there can do it. If you work hard enough, definitely can make it, into WCS, make it to the big stage.
You're totally right. With the World Championship Series, we've seen those kind of stories come along a lot, almost in every single season, actually, now that I can think about it. Of course, with Season 1 showing us the showtime and going all the way to the semi-finals, which this gentleman on screen was able to slay in Challenger. As we get into game at number 3 now in this best of 3 series. Elazer looking to try and move on in an extremely stacked group. As we have spawning up to the top left-hand corner is that man himself in the red, representing Team Extreme Supremacy. It is Elazer. Down to the bottom right-hand corner are blue Terran coming all the way from Mexico. It is Major.
Major last season had a very underwhelming performance here. when he came to Germany. He was jet lagged, and I remember giving him a lot of flack for his lack of good management of jet lag. He basically went to bed when he was tired and then woke up very, very early and then was tired for his matches. So I think he taught him a lesson, and this time he did a lot better. Like he actually, prepared a schedule, and yesterday he stayed up until very late. Or I guess up until the end of the breakfast, then went back, stayed up for a bit, and then went to bed and woke up this morning. So today, I'm pretty sure he's feeling much better than he was last time, and he's already playing better.
And at the moment, being 1-1 against Elazer is not exactly where I think he anticipated being, having never seen really many of Elazer's games and not knowing too much about him. MajOr is a player that his caliber is very high whenever he wants to try and pull that out. But
I think on this map, by the way, Echo and Koda, they're so identical to me. He's gonna want to play very similar. You can see he already opened the same with Rax and Gas on 11 both.
Yeah, put any pressure with the Reapers to start things off. He already got that one drone kill in the second game, so why on earth not try that again?
I mean, he did really well for him the previous game. He forced a few extractors here and there from being made, forced a lot of Zerglings. Elazer really struggled in holding this, I guess, in a good way. Gonna have to do better this time.
Not cutting too many corners himself, Elazer. Just getting that spawning pool nice and quickly off the back of the hatchery first. And even grabbing himself that gas, of course, just to get that speed eventually going so that he can deal with this oncoming assault from MajOr. As that first Reaper is in production.
I wonder how MajOr, like in terms of matchups, how you prepared going into this group here, because he has Polt and then 2 Zergs. He's been known to have very, very strong TvT. He even say himself he's like kind of the king. Like not many people can beat him. He's beat Korean Terrans before on many occasions. Guys like Teja and all that in WC. 4 drones by the way on the extractor. You gotta fix that, man. But yeah, MajOr going into this group. I wonder how much he focused on Terran and Zerg. I guess he's just 2 matchups at least. Still 4 drones.
Oh well, I'll take a small little hit to his economy in terms of minerals. But
a small hit. Some players left games for less than that, Kylars.
Was one of them you?
No. I'm not one of those guys. Oh, yeah, actually a drone got sniped by the Reaper in the main here already.
Wow. That's a really good start here for MajOr. Really good. And the extra Reapers are on the way as well. So if he starts losing Zerglings here and there, aside from the drones, and then he's able to get to that soft, gooey core of extra drones, then he's sitting pretty MajOr. But has to be careful now with that Queen popped out.
I'm not one of those players that think that economy is everything.
Okay, good.
However, when sometimes I tab late into the game and I thought I'm 15 seconds behind, sometimes I leave, I have to admit.
Okay, fair play. Yeah, diving on out.
Elazer with the same timing as in the previous game on the speed here. MajOr's gonna have to be careful. He knows, I think he should be able to time it very well. Was able to click on that extractor. So the speed start here as well, 3rd CC on the way.
Now I'm wondering if MajOr actually goes full gun-ho with this kind of aggression. 3rd Reaper is jumping on up.
Ooh.
And got caught a little bit out of spot there.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to back away.
Next level micro. I wonder if he actually goes for Cloak this time in one single Banshee or not. He's been doing... He seems to really like that Viking, that Polt Viking. It's done well for him, clearing out some of the overlords on the map.
Yeah, the spotting of it alone to gather the information on that was really, really good, actually. Of course, he did let some of those counterattacks through.
It's funny because that Viking didn't just kill the overlord on the left-hand side, it also took its place, like, on top of there.
Yeah.
So, like...
You are replaced.
Elazer couldn't know that there was a Viking up there. He actually just ran there every time to do, like, a run-by or counter-attack, and he didn't know that there was a Viking spotting every time. He must have been thinking, like, how does MajOr know? And, like, he's ready every time.
I mean... I guess the Mutalisks were just too busy to go and chase it down. They were constantly engaging, constantly in the battle, and I mean, maybe it was a mishap, maybe it was a slight error to actually not go and clean that up, but regardless of that fact, they didn't. And for now, this few units are just going to put on some pressure. Can't really do too much, at least the spotted the 3rd base, but extra Hellions as well as the Reapers are on the way. He does this a lot, actually. He lifts some of the units once again back home for just in case there's a counter-attack.
Well, the thing is, Elazer has been doing a lot of counter-attacks.
Yeah.
It really seems to be his style and the way he likes to apply pressure or do damage. So I think MajOr really is starting to pick up on that, and has been getting ready very well more and more as the series progresses here between these 2 players. Even getting the Sensor Tower last game was quite nice, I thought.
Yeah, I think so as well. I do like Sense Towers. Giving you a little bit of extra vision. Trying to plow on forwards here. Good transfuse on that first queen.
Oh, he's locked in.
Oh,
The debris down.
Actually,
the
that's
cooling
really bad.
tower, as Roddy would say, has been killed.
I don't think he realized he was going to get locked in. So that was brilliant for Elazer to actually kill that off in response. And now all of these units are almost guaranteed to die. The Queens aren't going to let them out. He needs to somehow loop around here.
Yeah, he's just right in position.
He left the Zerglings just away slightly. I'm going to come back in now, trying to pin these in next to the Spine Crawler. A great move here by Elazer. Oh, wow.
He starts Slayer as this just happens, and I guess finished for his units. The remainder here of the army with the Reapers is gonna go down, and behind this, Elazer, let the drone fest begin.
And that's the importance of the cooling tower, apparently. That was really well done by Elazer. Good foresight. I mean, obviously it seals off that location to make sure that your opponent can't attack from 2 angles, but at the same time, MajOr, he didn't check. He didn't check that it was still down.
Critical mistake here. Losing this many units gives absolute map control for Elazer. He knows there is nothing to be worried about here for a very long time. He's just gonna drone like a madman here. This is ideal. 60 drones already to 48 SCVs. He's got 7 more on the way. He started 1-1 much earlier in this game. He was like, oh my god, he was getting 3 layer here. He just cancelled 2.
Oh, what?
Not sure what's happened with that.
No, well.
I saw 3 layer on the production, then he quickly cancelled the 2 extra ones he was getting. Thank God he didn't cancel the one in the main. That would have delayed the Spire a lot. And look, now look at this. He's in such a comfortable position. Starts the Spire now.
And does MajOr just have to sit back from here and macro up? I mean, there's not a whole lot more he can do at this point, right? Maybe try and drop, but his starport hasn't even finished up yet.
Where's the Bold Viking, actually? I'm very disappointed.
Well, yeah, starport's only getting gone, so...
And creep spread-wise, like, Elazer's doing a good job. I mean, all he had to do was spread the creep, inject, and make drones here for quite some time. 2-2 is gonna start now for Elazer earlier than for MajOr, who still, I guess he hasn't completed his 1-1 or his armory, but he's about to. Second factory gonna be added very quickly here for MajOr once again. He's been doing a good job of getting those units out. It's really his control that played tricks on him in the previous game.
Ooh, and that was a lot of
the links in the third base.
Yeah,
they're getting SCVs.
Did actually get some of them in, but he lost a lot for that. 40 Zerglings or so. Yeah. Obviously with a few dying off to the Hellions to begin things off. But...
I mean, like, I feel like if you let a Zerg, or I say let, but obviously like Elazer made that happen for himself. Okay, if a Zerg reaches a high amount of drones early on in the game, it's just so hard to beat him. Yeah. A good Zerg is just gonna inject like a madman. You see, he already has a macro hatch in the main here. Elazer already on 77 drones from there is going to be pure Zerglings, Banelings, and Mutas, and he's just going to want to look to shut down all of these attacks. Yeah. He can't engage too early, though.
He set himself up well. These Banelings obviously don't have centrifugal hooks, so they do not really want to go too quickly. And if Elazer can take this first series, what a statement that is for him coming into Premier League. Right now, he is settled. He's got a good economy. Just needs to continue making units. The creep spread hasn't really been denied either here by MajOr.
The Polish hope, man.
Yeah. He's doing all right.
He has a cool nickname, actually, Elazer.
It is. I always thought to myself...
The laser of esports.
Exactly. I've always thought to myself, is it Elazer or Elazer? Of course, it's probably Elazer, but I like to pronounce it Elazer just for...
It's, actually, MajOr doing a smart move here. There was no Overlord at the top here to spot this drop. Losing a lot of drones right now. Elazer's not looking his natural.
Great little opportunity here for MajOr.
After we praised him so much.
Yeah, to try and deal with things. He could get the hatcher. That would be amazing. I don't think that's going to happen.
Oh, he's targeting the Mutas.
Another counter-attack here down towards the bottom. How many Mutas did he get during all of that? It's even another drop over here towards this base, and 12 workers go down. He's still at 65 workers against 71, though. So that was good for MajOr to try and make things right in the world in his books.
Pretty big mistake here by Elazer not to spot this coming or even anticipate it, but not sure if it's enough here for MajOr to really bring him back in this game. Supply-wise, he's doing all right. I guess he has 2-2 on the way himself. 3 more barracks are being made now around his natural. I mean, Elazer already being saturated on the 4th base. As long as he can shut down the next drops or attacks, I think he's going to be okay in this game. But I'd really like to see him, placing more Overlords around, especially, at 12 o'clock. If some Medivacs go all the way around, but
it's so much airspace. It's so much airspace to hit the 4th base and the natural. I completely agree with what you're saying. There's a drop to the left-hand side on the way.
He has nothing there.
Yeah, it's army on the right. And I think there may even be another drop heading towards the natural as well.
Yeah.
So quite a lot of pressure being put on here.
And he's
from
going to do the
Majors.
big attack on the fourth base here. Major, Elazer kind of falling apart against all of these drops.
Uh-oh, he's hit his stride. He really has hit his stride. Baneling's going to come in. If he doesn't control it properly, he could lose quite a lot. He's losing some of the Marines. Try and focus fire down some of these Banelings again. Picks up, gets on out of there. Mutalisk's in hot pursuit.
Dropping the main.
And he's killed about 5 workers so far. He can get a few more here in the main as well. But that being said, you know, Elazer's still doing okay in supply. He's still at 70 workers. And he has quite a bank, actually. He's
he's missing a few injects. Maybe he lost some queens.
How many queens does he have?
He lost one on the third base, and the fourth base, I guess, has been running around, actually dropping down some tumors.
Still more kills. Hard here for Elazer to get between all of these bases because they are so spread out by ground. The third to the... I mean, this map for Terran, if you think about the positioning of the first to the third, very easy to go back and forth there. If you think about the positioning from the second to the fourth, very easy to go back and forth there as well and really run Elazer all over the place.
Oh, he dropped a single Marine in the fourth base, and he's going to drop the rest in the natural. Major with a very good rhythm here with these medivacs, but I mean, he's just the one here, so that should be defended.
Kudos to Elazer, still trying to hold on strong against
Major,
it.
on the right-hand side. Elazer has been very eager to engage into all of the...
He can't pick up all of those either. He's only got one medevac there. Even the drones come in for the fight, because why on earth not? Mutalisk is going to be in the natural base here as well, killing off some of these missile turrets. Can they even get a few SCVs? It looks like they might be able to. He's also cleaning up the medevac in the main base here, is Elazer. Was a big movement over towards
he can send some Banelings on that mirror line.
That's going to get demolished.
And there's no bunker there.
There's still the drones here for the fight. Let's go, Elazer. As all of those SCVs are going to plummet. Very, very difficult for him to be able to save it. Major's falling apart. Elazer is doing this, Todd. And there's even a drop over in the third base as well, but he's killed 35 workers.
Yeah, that's so much. I mean, on the other side of the map, we have a single drop with very few Marines left that's going to get cleaned up. Elazer has done the damage he needed to do. He can just pull back from there, regroup. He actually has a drone on the major side of the map.
Elazer, hatchery towards the front. He knows that he's in a really good position. He's denied his opponent's third base. His opponent doesn't even have a fourth base. Anything. He's going to come in for one final blow here, potentially. I mean, it might be a little bit ambitious. There's so many Widow Mines there set up to be able to hold on. And the Marines at the back will be able to push away at the majority of that. But the torrent of aggression continues on here. Mutalisks don't have anything to complement them, has to back off, get a few more units. Major is not going to give up, but Elazer is in an amazing position right now.
He played fantastic, man. The cutthroat Zerg.
The cutthroat Zerg, man. He's making the WCS dream come alive. Not only being able to beat a fantastic challenger opponent, but in his first series here, potentially able to beat Major. He's up in supply and he's limiting his opponent in terms of economy.
Yeah, he's even going to transfer some drones to that fourth base here. Elazer, his economy is still great. Major... I don't think that this will die. Actually, the Mutas... he really wants that CC.
He's just going to go straight for the CC. He lost a lot of Mutalisks for that.
Yeah, a counter-attack here could be good, but I think Elazer should be able to get enough anyway with 40 links in the production tab.
Yeah, just needs them off in a few more Banelings.
Major might just go all in. He got a lot of Marines back at home. Oh my god, Major, you keep on forgetting your army, man.
I'm not sure how he's even going to play this out. If he doesn't have an economy, he's trying to play his first command center over towards the third base, I should say. And Banelings, once again, there's one Widow Mine, one solitary Widow Mine, or two in fact. Actually get quite a lot of the Banelings, but there's not enough Marines. Major. 60 supply against 60 army supply. More Banelings once again crash into these Marines. And I'm not sure. There you go. GG. Elazer is able to take the first series of the day. What a victory for him. We said it when he played against Showtime. What a victory. And now comes into Group F with the first victory of the day.
And a cheeky smile.
Cheeky smile indeed.
So winning. Very good play by him. It's not like he cheesed too, you know? It's not like he was the outsider, you know, did some special builds that he had prepared and surprised his opponent. He just played straight up.
Yeah.
He's like, I can take you at your own game in macro game. And fantastic job of that.
And if he has to go up against Polt later on in this group, I have to wonder, you know, how he's going to approach that one as well. I feel that he's going to have other things prepared because Polt, as much as he, you know, can maybe get caught off by some of these counterattacks, he will be very ready for it after watching that series.
As much as you have a point, I think when you're a Zerg like Elazer and you like to play macro games and that's pretty much all you practice on ladder, you can't really mix in some, you know, Baning, Roach, all in. It's like going to be very hard, but you do have a point that Paul, surely, you know, he was watching this very closely, but he needs to worry about Tiago himself first.
That is true. All right. So we are done here at the caster's desk. Let's head over to hear from our winner. It is Elazer over with Sean and Pig.
Thank you very much, James and Todd. Congratulations, Elazer. It's debut World Championship Series here in the Premier League. You've won your match in Challenger against Showtime. You've come here to Cologne. You've played your first match in Premier League, and you've got to win. It must be a great feeling right now.
Yeah, I feel amazing. I didn't expect the games to be like so tough. I thought the MajOr would be playing pretty bad because he didn't sleep much yesterday. But yeah, I feel amazing. Yeah.
Pick?
You came in and took that really convincingly. I was very impressed with your play. So I wanted to first off ask you about the style of Zerg vs. Terran you played. You played a very interesting, very aggressive. You didn't go that kind of crazy high drone count, but you were very good at constantly throwing counterattacks around. Was that something you were specifically catering towards MajOr, or is this how you like to play ZVT, trying to constantly run banelings into those mineral lines?
Yeah, usually that's how I play. I can play everything in ZVT, but that's what I'm the best in, and yeah.
So, were you a little bit nervous coming into today's games?
Yeah, I was very nervous.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We heard about your talk with Lilbo yesterday. Yeah? Roddy was telling us about how you were talking about playing up on stage, and that Lilbo said you were going to make mistakes.
It was just... I don't know, like the second game I made 2 overlords at 9 because I thought I made only 1, so...
I mean, so even though you're a little bit nervous, when you get into the game, does it start to disappear a little bit? I mean, because then you can really focus, you're playing StarCraft, you're playing Zerg, you do what you do best.
It doesn't disappear, it just goes to the whole game, and... Yeah, like I couldn't finish, for example, the third game. I was trying to kill him for like, I don't know, 5 minutes. So I was very nervous, and somehow I think MajOr was nervous too. That's why he played. That's why I won.
Yeah. Pig, you got a question here?
You held it together really, really well under pressure. It was very impressive. A final question. I think when you're dealing with these nerves on a big stage, one of the things which can be most challenging is dealing with those really hard multitasking situations. And like you said, MajOr played very well. He threw a lot of multi-pronged drops at you, often kind of not seeing them until the last second. But I was very impressed with how you dealt with those. Was there any point where you felt a little bit panicked?
I knew he's going to drop me at all places at the same time, and I practiced versus it, but so somehow I just forgot about it during the game, and I defended that only with the Zerglings that were popping out of the eggs, and I don't know. I lost like 40 drones, where I shouldn't lose a single one, so it wasn't very good.
Well, you managed to close it out. You were catching the drops. You were punishing every single move. So I was very, very impressed. Any other questions from you, Sean?
Yeah, just one last one. And so a lot of people watching at home in the audience don't really know too much about you. So, I mean, let's talk about StarCraft first. I mean, how would you describe you when you play? Super aggressive? Like, take us down a bit of a path.
Yeah,
how do you play?
Like European life.
You're the European life.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. There you go. Okay. Okay. And how would you describe yourself outside of StarCraft? Are you a very outgoing guy? Shy a little bit? How would you describe
I
it?
think I'm a bit shy. I'm not really. I'm just playing StarCraft. Like when I go out with friends, I just go out on TeamSpeak.
You go out on TeamSpeak.
Yeah, like I'm not very outgoing.
Awesome. Well, one final question. You think your nerves are gonna kind of disappear coming into this next series? You're a little bit calmer now. You got to win. You're playing in the winners' match. You're playing for a game to go to Toronto.
Yeah. So.
You think are you gonna be nervous again, or you're okay now? You're feeling better?
I think I will be playing way better next games. I think I overcome it. But it's just the beginning. I think I might face MajOr again in the losers match if I lose to maybe Port or TLO.
Okay.
It's just the beginning.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Elazer. Ladies and gentlemen. All right. Let's take a quick look at the bracket just to update you on exactly where we are here at the World Championship Series coming into Group F. Elazer has made it through to the winners match with a defeat over MajOr, and we'll be playing against the winner of our next match, which is coming up here. It's going to be Pulp versus TLO. I know a lot of you guys are excited for this one. That'll be coming up right after the break. We'll be right back.
I move objects with my mind.